The following BLTV program is brought to you by O'Flaherty Law. Please enjoy.
Welcome, everybody, back to this episode of the OnPurpose Growth podcast. My name is Bryan McDonald, partner here at OnPurpose Growth. And today, we're going to have an exciting topic, and I'm going to learn something myself. We're going to be talking about how to have a great business and a great life at the same time. And to talk about that, I've got my buddy Shane Torres, who's the CEO and founder of Road to 20 Million, which is a coaching and consulting platform for sales professionals. So he's going to be talking about that. It's going to be exciting. So Shane, thanks for being on. And why don't you give everybody a little bit of your background before we dive in?
Yeah, thanks for having me. So yeah, I'd love to. I was a general contractor builder prior to 2009, like most, or not most, but a lot. I lost quite a bit in 2009 and had to file Chapter 7 and was in foreclosure. And so in 2009, I got into real estate. And I was fortunate and blessed that I had a level of success fairly quickly. Within 3 years, I was able to do over 20 million in production.
Wow.
But what I started to quickly realize that if I didn't get smarter with my time and leverage my time more by systemizing and being more organized, I wasn't going to be able to do any of it and still yet have a life. So there were a few trigger points that between conversations with my wife and different things with my kids that led me to start to get really intentional about getting more organized just as a whole. So that's what led me to get going and allowed me to scale and get bigger from then on and led us to where we are today.
And where are you guys at today to give people context?
Yeah. So I still, it's a little bit different. So I still manage my team. I personally haven't been in production in about 5 years, but they will do over probably right around 50 million this year in production. Wow. and about 13 million rolling over into 2021. I'm also an owner of our brokerage, which is Remax Concepts, and our company will do probably about 1.6 billion this year. We are have consistently been a top 500 power broker company for years. And we have a lot of good high quality agents. So my day to day is helping manage them.
So what spurned, like what was happening where you had to figure out that you needed these systems and balance out your life? What were you experiencing?
Yeah. So the first thing is it was actually an argument with my wife. Cause I was making good money, but I was in and out a lot. I'd pop in for kid events and I would leave and I was gone again. And at the time, I did 1,000 BPOs that year. I had to get super organized to do those BPOs, which for those who may not know what that is, it stands for broker price opinion, which is just a low level appraisal, basically.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyway, I was having an argument with my wife, and she said, I said, I don't understand what your problem is. I'm at all the kid events, and she said, what about me? Oh. And so I'm like, ooh, that was a gut check, So that was a moment. And then around the same time, another moment, I took my, at the time, my 5-year-old and my 3-year-old to the park, and I realized I'd never taken them to the park before.
Oh my gosh.
Right. That's how bad it was. Right. So, my philosophy used to be without work, there's nothing else. And looking back, that's just was the wrong mentality. So those were 2 things that led me to know that I can't do it all on my own. So I need systems and people to be able to help with that. So when people ask what I do nowadays, I just tell them I manage systems and the systems manage the people.
Yeah. I mean, 1.5 billion, you said, or 1.6 billion. That's a lot
the company's 1.6 billion.
Yeah. So how did this, you come to this realization? How did this journey start then after you came to the realization?
I just started looking at what it got really two things got really simple. I started because of the amount of BPOs and stuff I was still doing. I would calendar my day. When I first started, I would jump from this town to this town to this town to this town. So then I started calendar my day, so I was just in a radius. And then I got super, and it sounds very simple, but I got super intentional about using my calendar and time blocking. And it sounds very redundant because anybody of any success will tell you to time block, but I didn't until then, and I started. And to this day, I'm very intentional about time blocking.
So, what do you find in regards to before you did that? Were you just a victim of the next thing that was in front of your face?
Yeah. What I found is I was just constant, like you said, next thing I was go. I got to the point where I felt like I couldn't, that I was just spinning my wheels and I couldn't catch my breath. So putting all those systems and stuff into place. So what I started to do was just listen to other people, watch YouTube, just all this, and people give ideas. One of the things I remind everyone, there's no secret to what we're doing in our industry. Somebody's done it somewhere. So just, take a version you like and make it your own. That's what the bulk of sales is finding something that works. So it's those little compound things that add to big results.
Yeah. Do a lot of the small things over and over again, and
Right.
it builds up.
Right.
So, so you did some time blocking. What other things in regards to systems? Because I'm sure it just wasn't that
No, it
solved the
wasn't
issue.
that. It wasn't that. So what happened was, we'll just start with the BPO part because that was what kind of launched this. I was getting so many orders that I would, when I got up in the morning, I spent the bulk of that time just inputting data into the different platforms. There was about a half a dozen different platforms. After a while, I got to the point to where I knew exactly what the company wanted, so I could pump out a BPO in about 15 minutes.
Wow.
But then it got to the point I couldn't keep up with the photos I would have to take in the afternoon because I would take photos in between my appointments as I rounded the town. Then I started enlisting my wife to go take photos with my kids. So they would go take photos, get me what I need, and I would just do all the data entry and complete the BPO. So that was a part of the system, was having my wife help with those things. If I hadn't have done that, I wouldn't have been able to do so many that first year. And then from there, what started to happen is I started getting very heavily into short sales and distressed property. So with that, again, there was a system put in place for that, for as far as marketing goes and the postcards. And what I ended up doing with the short sales is I took 3 specific classes on distressed properties and short sales. I took content from every single one of those, and I created my own version and created my what I call my short sale packet. That is a packet of information that I would send to the clients ahead of time and tell them, I need absolutely everything on this checklist before we can even move forward and start. And I would not do it unless they brought me those things. I would not run after those things. They would have to bring them to me. And as long as they would do that, then I would start.
So what was the mindset change you had to make? Because I can hear, here's how I implemented it, but there's something behind that. To my mind, there has to be.
Yep. So it was that if they're willing to do these few upfront tasks for me, because there was such a low success rate on getting short sales approved back then.
Okay.
If they're willing to do these upfront tasks, they're willing to work with me through the entire process, which could take weeks or it could take months. I had one take 18 months.
Wow.
And I would always tell them, we're a team. I am the quarterback. You're the receiver. You do what I ask when I ask, and we'll get through this. And to this day, we have over 95% success rate in completing short sales.
Wow.
So it was those upfront things that I required that made us so successful.
Yeah. So you figured out what the most important parts are, and require that they get done.
Well, yes. And I think a big part of that is I was going through it at that time. If you remember, in the
Oh,
beginning, I
yeah, yeah.
said I was going through foreclosure personally. So I knew what needed to be done because I was doing it myself.
So how did structuring yourself this way, like putting together the system and then requiring the client or the prospect to put that stuff together, how did it change your work and your business life with that improvement?
I was, so so I was able to at at that time I was able to manage because of the systems I had in place 50 to 60 short sales by myself. I did not have an assistant at that time.
Wow.
So I did all the follow up, I did everything myself. Um, so it made my life a lot easier by systemizing that. And I knew with that particular, those types of sales that like I followed up with banks every morning, Tuesday and Friday,
Hmm.
called every single one of those banks or emailed or whatever platform they preferred. But what it allowed me to do, it was the launching pad for my
Mm-hmm.
real estate business that allowed me to, it essentially got me uh out of the debt I was in.
Yeah.
Not 100%, but it was a start
Right.
that got me back on track. So I was able to then provide for my family again and be the supporter that I needed to be.
I mean, prior to that, did you even or ever think that you had the ability to manage that much business at one time?
Oh no, 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 no. When I got into real estate, my only goal was, I was thinking if I could do, maybe 5 million, eight
Mhm.
million, that'd be enough to get me out of the mess I was in. And I remember back then thinking who the number one agent, and I was like, if I could only do just a little bit of what they did,
Yeah.
it'd be great. And we blew by them in 3 years. So
This-
no,
oh, go
I've
ahead.
never, even now, I've never set out to do what we're doing today or what I'm doing today. I've adjusted along the way.
Yeah. Well, and what's the value of 50 short sales at once? What estimated value?
Oh man, they are all over the place. Probably if we're talking dollars, probably 450, 500 GCI.
Wow. Uh, I mean, you probably blew blew your numbers out of the water with being able to uh, manage that many at one time.
Yeah, we did. It was good, but like I said, that after a while, because what started to happen is the short sale business would started to trickle down a little
Hmm.
bit, but we were becoming so well known on social media and in the market. Traditional business was growing at the same time. So we actually, once I started adding people, we doubled 3 years in a row um, before it leveled out a little bit for a year or so, and
Really?
then I started going up again.
So you more than doubled 3 years in a row,
Correct.
plateaued a little bit, and then
Yep.
started repeating that again.
Yes.
Oh my gosh,
And
man.
growing again. Yes.
So was this, putting in systems, was that then foundational that you just kept building on top of?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it started one system at a time,
Mhm.
dating back to the BPOs and, and actually I share this story as my first short sale postcard.
Okay.
Um, because we still use a postcard to this day based on that first template. And I'm horrible at writing, but I got that idea from a class I was in. So I literally took a picture of their presentation. And I put that on my postcard.
Oh,
Um, and I would to save money, I printed it myself. I cut it myself. My kids put a stamp on it, and we mailed them out monthly,
hmm.
every single month.
So how did the conversations with, your wife and or your kids change as you started implementing these systems?
We were able to do more. I was able to be home more. I was
Hmm.
able to be more present. I didn't always have to check my phone when it would go off. And don't get me wrong, I'm still guilty of that sometimes
Yeah.
today. But I was able to do those things more. But I was also able to. I started learning early on the value of time over money.
Hmm.
And I was able to explain to my kids, and I still to this day, that you can always make more money, but you cannot make more time.
Hmm.
And so I focus on that a lot when I speak to them about just life and business.
Yeah, I mean, uh, we can never get we can never get the time back, right? This moment
Right.
is now, and and ultimately that's it. So um, you're you start building these systems, you start implementing them. How did this thinking grow? Like,
Mhm.
how did your mind and how you approach business change by approaching it this way?
Um, I literally just looked at every aspect that we were doing in business, and I knew I needed to document it, and I
Hmm.
needed to process it, because people come and go. If you have the systems in place, you could have a quick transition with people, and not miss a beat and be up and running within a week or so,
Hmm.
with a new person. So then, as I wanted to add more things, I knew ahead of time I wanted to systemize it. And again, the thing is anything that we've ever added has rarely been unique to
Hmm.
real estate or market in general. So I would Google what I wanted to do and I would make a version of my own.
Hmm.
And I would just constantly do that. And that's what I train all the agents that are with us to do also, because there are no secrets to what we do. Somebody's done it somewhere.
Hmm.
So anytime I want to do something different, I just create a system for it.
Hmm. And and then you're just teaching these agents how to work in a systematized world, if you will.
Correct. Correct. Because I want everyone to have a good revenue, but yet a good life. And I will go on. And let me step back for a second here.
Sure.
At this point, I'm the visionary. I come up with the ideas, but someone else is implementing them.
So why is that important to bring up?
They're better at it than I am. I
Hmm.
mean, I winged it back in the day because I could. But if you look back now, like let's just say that first postcard, I'm like, oh, what was I thinking? But it worked.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you have to have people who are better and more skilled at you for the visual and the again, I'm not a good writer. So,
Hmm.
you want some good punctuation and grammar. I am not your
Yeah.
guy.
Right.
I am not. So I am the visionary.
So, in regards to the agents or in your road to 20 million, business, what are the things that people get hung up on that they need to either get over or adjust that you see has the most potential in it?
It's really two things actually. One, they're always like, "Oh, well, I can't do this with the system, or I can't have this person help me because my clients just want to work with me. They only want it because I'm
Mm,
so great." No, they want good service. They don't care if it's you or someone else. They
yeah.
want good service. So as long as you build a system and you surround yourself with people that
Hmm.
provide good service, it won't be a problem.
Hmm.
And the other aspect of it is people are, and I'll admit I was the same way.
Yeah.
Other people are so nervous to bring on help or hire help because it costs money. But if you can pay an admin, let's just say between 30 and 50,000 a year, and they make you 100 to 200
Hmm.
more, was it worth it? Absolutely. So getting past that hurdle of adding people, nobody can do it like I'm going to do it type thing. So what?
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
So what? They're
Uh,
probably going to do it better.
they could, right? It's why you're the visionary and
Right.
you have other people do things, right?
Right.
Uh, so it's helping people understand that you don't have to do it, that somebody else ultimately can do it, and what else are they
Well,
kind of
here's
running?
the crazy thing nowadays. Chances are there's a technology that will do it for you.
Mm,
There's artificial intelligence, there's virtual admin, there's all sorts of options
hmm.
that could do it for you. If you flash back, so today I have 4 personal staff that work for me.
Okay.
Um and uh and they manage a lot of companies because I have other investment companies and stuff like that. If it was just the real estate side of things, I could go down to one person and use the technologies that are available nowadays compared to back then.
Really?
The only reason I can justify all four still is because they manage multiple companies for me.
Yeah, and they probably keep you out of trouble from meddling in things, right?
They do, yeah. They handle all that.
So if somebody is out there struggling, saying, "Hey, this all sounds great, but I just, I got to do everything on my own, or I don't even know where to start on systems," what would you tell them?
That's kind of a trick question because
Okay.
I try to really dissect, and it sounds cliche, but what's their why? What moves them? Why do they get up? And then from there, because I don't like focusing on the dollar amount, I want to focus on what they want to do with the dollar amount.
Yeah.
And then I reverse engineer it from there to determine where to start.
Oh,
so everybody's a little different because personalities
Yeah.
and goals are different. Not everyone is set out to be a mega team or a huge team.
Mm-hmm.
Some people just want to be comfortable and be them. That's, so my thing with Road to 20 million is what someone's 20 million is could be someone's 5 million.
Yeah.
It's all relevant. It's just how you scale it.
Yeah. And what do you find is getting in their way to do that?
Self-doubt, uncertainty, again, ego. Everyone wants to work with just me. That's ego. That's not true. So those are usually the main things.
Yeah, it's when I stopped realizing that it had to be me, I started making more money, which
Exactly.
It's amazing, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. So so in your road to 20 million, what types of clients are you working with?
So because obviously I'm real estate background,
Mm-hmm.
it is heavily focused in real estate. There are a few builders, general contractors, because again, that's my background.
Mm-hmm.
Also that I work with. I think it's very, so a couple investors. So it's really anything. Obviously, I want to be knowledgeable about what I'm saying and doing. So they're really things that I've done personally.
Yeah.
I do think what's a little bit unique about me is I've done the fall to the bottom and come back up. I've done the real estate. I've done investing. I've done home building and general contracting. So it's encompassing on all those. I've helped insurance agents.
Yeah, very tangential to what you're doing.
But sales are sales. It could be eyeglasses. It could be real estate. It could be auto parts. Sales are sales.
Yeah. So so you've lost everything before.
Yes.
And now you've built something that's even greater. Does systematizing everything make you feel more at ease or more comfortable?
It definitely helps.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of factors that make me more comfortable, more at ease. I can honestly say the biggest one, quite honestly, is probably going through the bankruptcy. It's something that I would never want to wish on anybody, but quite honestly, I learned so much from it that it led me to where I'm at today. I say a lot. I'm a wealth of knowledge of what not to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so, the systems help make it flow easy so that when you, like you said, make you rest a little bit, is that I feel comfortable knowing that I can leave for 2 weeks and business is still going to go all across the board. I didn't have that before.
Yeah. And then, you mentioned, self-doubt. How has already been through that give you more confidence?
Once you're there, there's, only place you can go is up.
Yeah. Right.
Anything that we've done, I've adjusted and adapted along the way, and I just watch everybody around me. And if opportunities have presented themselves, I've taken advantage of them.
Yeah, that's great, right?
And you would think that because of what I went through, I wouldn't be have such a high risk tolerance. I am extremely calculated, but I still have a pretty high risk tolerance. And I mean, honestly, I don't think I would be at the level I'm at or we're at if I didn't have such a high risk tolerance and accomplish what we have in such a short period of time.
Well, so how has what you've gone through with everything, right? Not just the bankruptcy, but everything. How does that add to help you calculate risk or maneuver through risk?
Yeah, the biggest difference is again, I analyze everything. I just analyze very quickly. The biggest
Hmm.
difference between now and then, one, I made sure I had a good base underneath of me before I started to diversify into other things.
Okay.
Back then, all of my companies were tied to new construction
Okay.
of some sort, which took a hit.
Hmm.
Nowadays, and for the past however many years, they're not tied together. Yes, they're all a little bit relevant, but they're not tied together. So if there's a down month in one business, the other month can help balance everything out, or the other businesses can help balance everything out if there's a down month. So when I look at risk, I look at, okay, I try to look 2 to 3 years out, and that's
Okay.
really hard because all of these opportunities, if you would have asked me a few years ago if I was going to be where I am today, I would have said no.
Hmm.
But as the opportunities come up and I continue to analyze them, you know, if it makes sense and I know that I can cover the basis if there's a down month, then I'll do it.
So are you when you're looking at these things, are you also looking at, hey, what's the possibility of being able to systematize this and what can systems do for it?
Yep, exactly. So like we'll use buying some we bought a few brokerages in the past couple
Okay.
years that doesn't have the technologies and the systems that we have.
Hmm.
So I would look at them and be like, okay, they have too much overhead and payroll. With our systems, we can get rid of this, we can get rid of that, we can add this back in. And within 12 months, we're going to generate this much revenue
Wow.
because of these, combination of these things. So that is a huge part of it.
So so it sounds like even established businesses um, who have been around that creating revenue are actually missing the mark because they're not systematized, and you can leverage that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Any company we've bought, the moment we've implemented our systems, their agent base has been more productive.
Wow, that's amazing.
What we tell them when we do this is we're not coming in, we don't want to change what you're doing. We just want to add to it and streamline and make it more efficient.
Hmm. So, as we wrap up here, and to the listeners or people watching,
Mhm.
what's a misconception people have about um, having a good life and having a good business at the same time? If they can't balance that out, what's a misconception they have about it?
That infamous time balance.
Oh,
They are not the same. You can have a good quality of life and you can have a good work life balance.
mhm.
It doesn't mean you have a time balance. So
Okay.
to do what I do, I get up around 3 anywhere from 3:15 to 3:30 in the morning
Okay.
because I want to be home at night for my family. To do
Mm,
that, I have to get up earlier. You cannot continue to get up at whatever time, 8, 9, 10 o'clock,
mhm.
and still be home at 5 a.m. or 5 p.m. I'm sorry, and
Right.
expect results. So life balance does not equal time balance.
So it sounds like it's the quality of time that you
Correct.
have than necessarily more of it, right? We all got 24 hours, right?
Right.
It's about being present and quality of time, actually, whether it's at work or at home.
Correct.
Interesting.
Yep. Correct. It's all
Well, listen,
relative.
yeah. Well, listen, it was awesome having you on. Share with everybody where they can find you and if they want to get in contact with you and learn more
Yeah.
about Road to 20 million.
Yeah. So the website's road to20million.com. Facebook's Road to 20 Million. You can my personal page is Shane Torres. You got to type in real estate because there's also a comedian with my same name. So
Oh, okay.
he'll come up first. I'm just saying. Um, but yeah, so those two places would be the best way.
Cool. And if you're listening or watching to this, don't worry if you didn't write that down. We've got it posted wherever you're listening or watching this. So you look around in the show notes and you'll be able to find those links. And again, Shane, thanks for being on, man. This was great. It's always an interesting topic for me. So I appreciate you being on.
No, thanks for having me. It was fun.
Cool. And thanks everybody for tuning into this episode of the On Purpose Grow podcast. We'll see you on the next one. Take care.